In electronic music and music production especially, every track we sit down to make, we try to finish and we try to make perfect. Playing versus programming, I think both are valid, and I don't see any use in judging any way of making art. And once I pick out just one of those aspects from a song that I really like, and it's time to make some music, it's like, okay, I'm gonna make some music, but I'm gonna base it on this new technique that I just learned. So for me, making a track can be a very fluid process. Sometimes I sit down with a concept or a genre or even a tempo in my head. Other times I sit down and I just want to make something and I don't really have an end goal in mind. I just want to make sounds and see where it takes me. Music for me is like meditation. I can just be working on music. I don't know how the music is gonna sound in the end, but when I'm in that zone, when I'm creating the music, I'm not thinking about anything else. That's the most fun I can have making music, is when I don't really have an end goal in mind, but I start just making some sounds and figuring out how they work together, doing a little bit of experimentation. And when they all sort of come together at the end to make something that sounds great or something that I can even use and sample later, that to me is the most like joyous part of making music, that experimentation that leads to something that sounds great. I find a lot of joy in making my own samples and taking that process outside of the actual music making process. That's been a very fun process because you can just experiment, feeling no pressure, and make these sounds that you know eventually you're gonna transform. When I first started to learn music, a lot of the way people teach music is very traditional, especially traditional foundational music theory. It's very hard to apply that traditional curriculum and pedagogy to making modern music because you'll just get bogged down in so many details that are not relevant to the music you're trying to make. So now I feel like there's more ways to learn music that are more accessible to just the average person that hears a song that they like and wonders, how can I make a song like that in this particular genre, in this particular style? When you think about finger drumming, that's a really new art form. Melodics is one of the first to bring this modern instruction and these modern genres to a level where any kid or any young person or any adult who wants to just jump into making music, whether it be in a particular genre or on a particular instrument, they can use a program, an app like Melodics that feels like something from the modern day. It feels like something we interact with every day. It feels sometimes like a game, something that's rewarding. We can relate it to the modern world, and Melodics pays attention to the genres that people want to be making, modern genres that we're actually listening to. So now we have modern genres, we have a way to interact with those modern genres and learn them in a 21st century kind of way. I think I'll always see myself as a learner. I'll always see myself as a student of music, and I'm learning new things all of the time. So I try to maintain both energies. I try to feel like a student and get better every single day, but I do also have confidence now in my skill that I can make and execute the type of music that I want to make. Having a strong foundational musical background has definitely influenced my work. I try not to lean too heavily on it, but it definitely influences the way my music sounds. I can get to the ideas in my head faster with the strong music theory foundation that I have. Playing versus programming, I think both are valid, and I don't see any use in judging any particular process or way of making art. So for me, in my approach, I just try to leave every tool available to me. Just having that additional skill set, it brings inspiration. You make music you otherwise wouldn't have made because you're using a different tool. They all lead to different results. I just know very, very basic guitar playing from learning songs that I like, and I still use the guitar in a lot of my music, and people really enjoy some of the guitar parts that I write for my music. I'm not like a trained pianist or anything. If you work through and just learn a little bit about each instrument, you can kind of come up with creative ways to play it, and you don't need years and years of lessons really to get to where you want to go. I try to make sure my space feels like a creative space, that I'm surrounded by things that I'm inspired by, not just musical influences. My inspiration for music doesn't just come from other music, it comes from all other art forms, visual art, movies, TV, books, things like that. So I constantly try to pull influences from all these different places. I try to keep that all around me and really transform the space, whether it's like lighting candles or lighting incense. The space feels like a creative space. I think when you first learn music production, you start to focus on a lot of the technical things because you're gaining a lot of technical knowledge, how do EQs work, how do compressors work. And you can get music that's technically correct, but you might not get music that's great. You might not have music that reflects your vision as an artist, and that's something that's very hard to teach. What makes music special, and for me, what makes making music special, is that it sounds like you. It sounds like you had a vision for this music, this project, and you executed on it. I try to make it a habit of, if I hear a song that I really like, and I don't understand why I like it, or I don't understand what's happening in the song that's making me have this feeling, I try to, at the beginning of a session, dive into that and figure out what is that particular technique, what is that particular chord voicing that's happening there. I pick out just one of those aspects from a song that I really like, and it's time to make some music. It's like, okay, I'm gonna make some music, but I'm gonna base it on this new technique that I just learned. You might hear a song that you really like, but your ears aren't trained. You can't hone like, oh, this is the synth pad, and this is the bass line, and this is the lead synth, or this is the singer, and they're all working together in this way. At the beginning stages, you don't really know that, but Melodics is able to break it down for you part by part, and just being able to see them, not even necessarily in traditional notation, but just to see like piano roll, to see notes go by, and actually have a visual connection to what you're hearing. I think Melodics is really great for that, and that's a huge challenge for artists and musicians that are just trying to learn in a non-traditional way. In electronic music and music production especially, we skip that demo making process, and every track we sit down to make, we try to finish and we try to make perfect, when really we should have a stage before that when we're just coming up with creative, fun ideas and deciding if that's just for fun or if that's something that's going to become like a real piece that gets released. So I just spent the last 31 days making a beat every single day and encouraging the community to do the same during Beattober. And what that allows you to do is kind of force yourself within the limitation of what you can create in a day, not worry about making things perfect, and just get things out there. And not every piece that you make across those 31 days is going to be great, but some of them are. So even if 10 or 5 out of the 31 are great, you can now take the rest of your time, the rest of the year or into the next year, and take those demos and really perfect them. Everything I do is online. I post my music online, I post my process online, people can watch my process live, and that is both energizing and slightly overwhelming. So it's important, I think, for me to maintain my artistic vision while hearing some of the feedback, deciding whether or not I want to apply it. Because at the end of the day, I'm the artist, it's my vision. If I don't make the thing that I feel natural creating, people aren't gonna pay attention and listen anyway. It becomes particularly difficult in today's age to pursue more original ideas because so much of what we consume is based off of what's trending and what's being served to you in an algorithm. It's easier for artists to find the people that love what they're making. So if you can find those people that love what you're making, that love your style, and you can be true to yourself, that is to me the only way to survive as a musician, as an artist.